What's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your boy, Gerald. It is Sunday, the 12th, 2014. How's your weekend going thus far? I hope it's been very pleasant. You'll be able to rest and plan for your new week. For those like myself, we're getting ready to go back to a new school semester for our purpose. I congratulate each and every one of you, and I wish you peace and blessings for the semester. So how you doing? Doing all right? That's good. That's good. That's good. I'm in here cooking my lunch. Gotta work today. Gotta make my money. And this morning, as I always do, I start my morning giving thanks, but I say prayed up throughout the day, and I highly recommend that if you're not doing so, to entertain that, because when you allow your discernment to be your guide, not only will you find a much clearer perspective on how you navigate your day, but you're protected. So, I throw that out to each and every one of you. Well, I wanted to put this out today for my topic in regards to, we already know that where you were last year and where you are now is totally different. You are on the cusps of new challenges and understanding because you're growing. Everything about your being, from the physicality of your body to the validation found in your heart, as well as how it is logically interpreted, found in mind, is coming into a different dynamic. And can you blame yourself? Because that is required for your evolution. And it should be very, very amazing on the things that will be revealed to you. But as you start to embrace where you are, and as I mentioned before, I know some of you have been blessed like right in the beginning of the new year, and some has yet to come to pass. But guess what? I'm here to tell you that they're coming, and when they come, that will be your validation. But with everything, it is given because you have mastered something about yourself. So if you haven't seen any changes on the physical, you will definitely come to see them. There's something required within you that you still may have to put focus on. So do not be discouraged. It comes. As you already know, your higher power, I know my higher power is my Lord Jesus Christ, but I am humbled to say I know He is one of many names. And as you already know, He sends His love and mercy and blessings as He requires, because He does not operate in what we know as time. That is why we must, as people, trust Him. Trust Him with your life. Because you do understand that He does not need our assistance, but He does need our obedience. And He cannot interact in your life until you allow to submit yourself to His cause, His purpose. Because, it's one of those things. It's like proverbially drawing a line in the sand. You have to make a decision on what side of that line you want to stand on or represent, which is your boundary, your spiritual boundary. So what I want to bring into light right now is, when you decide to not only look at your conviction, to plant the seeds to invest in yourself, which means you must look at your flaws. Yes, you have to look at them. Because those flaws are actually what are going to be the templates that are going to serve as a motivation to authenticate who you are. Yes. So that is why I mentioned in past, you cannot allow your challenges or your setbacks or traumas to have a bearing in your life and your direction, because that is all nothing but a perception. That's just a perception. And a lot of times if it's negatively formed, it is nothing but an illusion, because it's generated from fear. But fear cannot come into play unless there is some form of ego or some type of negative embrace. So you've got to ask yourself, do you want to be happy? And if you do, what is it worth to you? And are you willing to invest in that? Because when you decide to do that, guess what will happen? Guess what will happen? When the time is right, you will have the harvest, because you've properly earned it. It won't be something of a position or it was given, because we all know. Come on, let's keep it 100. When something is given, 9 times out of 10, from the person who gave it to us, now they may have been some sincerity or they may have been some agenda, but we also know this: if we do not see the worth of it, we don't appreciate it. That's why it doesn't last. Well, it shouldn't come with the expense of your heart. It should not be a position that has been a byproduct of a choice that was derived from an emotional trigger. That's why I boldly say, no longer are the days. Because see, it doesn't matter where you've been or what you did or how you did it. It doesn't matter. Because guess what? It only has relevance if you continue to give it life. I want to truly believe that those experiences were to serve as a motivation to get you to understand what you truly need. And guess what? You know what the beautiful thing about that whole thing is? I also know that that is your greatest challenge, dealing with negative environments like naysayers, some people who know them as backsliders, or those that truly do not have your best interests at heart. And as we already know, misery loves company. But see, if you decide, and I would like to believe you have, that you're willing to roll them sleeves up. You know that you are in the trenches now, and you're going to see this through, because you see your worth and value. So what must happen is you must make some sound decisions for what is best for you. And when you decide to do that, guess what, y'all? Guess what? 2 things are going to happen. You will start to not only attract the things that will uplift you, guide you, motivate you, but more importantly, strengthen your position. And what will happen on the flip side is you will start to have clarity. You'll start to see the things that you may have not seen or understood in the past. So that gives you a strength to deal. See, a lot of times we allow our fears to build a false sense of security, because the foundation was fear or uncertainty. But we also know now real recognizes real. So with that being required, we have to make decisions what is best. Sometimes, as you already know, your higher power will sit you down. He will sit you down just to observe. And you may be in a season where you're seeing everything around you receive their harvest or their blessings, even those that do not deserve it. And you're wondering, you're scratching your head and say, well, why is it that, little Ray, he don't deserve that, but he got it? Don't you realize that, see, sometimes God will even bless those undeserving, just allow that as a motivation to change them. Because guess what? If it's not found, if the foundation's not there, they're not going to hold on to it. They're not. And that catalyst will be actually the lesson or the derivative of the change. But you cannot see that until you see your worth. Now, as I always have mentioned, as I mentioned before, one of the greatest challenges you're going to ever be faced with as a human being, as a spiritual being first, is dealing with your fears, whatever it may be. Some may be finding a challenge, being challenged in how you communicate emotionally. You may have, like for example, a picture of someone that has to speak in front of a group, and you know exactly what you want to say, and when the opportunity comes, you freeze. It's because your foundation is causing you to second guess yourself, and that's nothing but an illusion. Because if you've done what you need to do, you're going to be prepared. But even if there's a setback, don't fret, because all that is a setup. Did you hear what I said? It is nothing but a setup. So that is why I tell you, my kings, don't trip on the things that you lose. If you know that you're doing exactly what is required for your life, guess what? All that does is bring you one step closer to the things you need. Now think of it like this. You know how, we'll take a fish tank. You have the little fish net. Well, I can take that fish net and scoop as much as I want. And guess what? The water comes out. All the things that I don't need to hold on to comes out, right? But it's the residual stuff that's caught in that net. That's the same mindset you need to have. See, you're in a period now, you're clearing. You're clearing the way. You're taking the road less traveled. You're able to embrace not only your name. Do you realize how important your name is? Do you realize what it represents? Because your name validates the template of your legacy. That also goes for you, my queens, which we don't have as men. We don't have the opportunity to change our name, because we are the one that we're when God places it in our hearts, He will guide us to you. So we have to make sure that we're the best when that time comes. So we must be sound. We must be grounded. And we must also be able to see our purpose. Because if we're not there, guess what? You can't feel emotionally safe now, can you? No, you can't. You can't. But that's okay. That is why life should be consistent, steady, and yes, methodical. There should never be any stagnation. Never. No. For what? I mean, think of it like this. If your life was represented by a bank account, right? But instead of money, the investment is self, betterment of self, right? Now, if you have not put in proper deposits, what makes you think that you can do withdrawals? That's see what I'm saying? So let's look at it from a spiritual standpoint. If you're not doing what needs to be done, you can't receive the peace that you desire. You won't have the harmony that comes with it. You will not understand your purpose. And lastly, you will leave yourself to be exposed or vulnerable because there's no boundaries there. You're not supposed to live your life like that. This is going to be the year for many breakthroughs for a lot of people. I really, really believe it. I think right now, somebody's going to get a phone call this week because you got a brand new job. And the funny thing about it is, really it's not funny, it's divine, is you didn't even think that you were capable of being able to work there, but you do. But you are. And guess what? You're going to do very well at it. Because this opportunity was given to you. Now let's look at it like this. As you already know, we have free will, right? You can do whatever you want. And the repercussions if you choose unwisely is to get locked up, right? Or worse, something unfortunate will come to pass. But we're not going to do that. So, with that being said, it is very important that you discern. See, if you embrace your discernment will never lead you astray. Because that's a balance of self. And we're spiritual beings, so that is why you can't get caught up on what the naysayers do or what the naysayers are saying. That is why I passionately have spoken in past that you can't get caught up on what you see on TV. You can't get caught up on what you hear. Anything that's media-based has twofold purpose. One, to separate you from your money. And two, to motivate you to make choices not in your best interest. Once again, that's why it's important that you discern. Now let's look at it on a different perspective. Let's just say, let's just put it this way. Alright, so you got your discernment on point. That's your spiritual compass. And you're in a season where you're doing what is required, but nothing's coming from it. Actually, what you're not seeing is you're being protected. You are. Because if you didn't have your discernment in place, what would happen is you would be like a loose cannon. And all that would do is set you up for more pain, setbacks, and challenges that you would not normally have to face. So it's okay. And think of it this way. That would also give an opportunity for those who do not have your best interest to capitalize on your expense. Now, we can't have that, now can we? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not taking a position of ego or pride. I'm actually taking a position of selflessness because, see, I see my worth and I discern. So I don't worry about the things that I don't have now. Because the relationship that I have with my higher power, I know not only will it come, when it comes, and how it comes, it will meet the expectations beyond what I can fathom. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay. I wasn't going to say it right now, but I'm going to put it out there now so you see what I'm talking about. Now, at one time, actually about 2 years ago, one of my greatest challenges as a man was I was coming out of a relationship that I thought that was going to be forever, right? This person, I mean, if I could walk on water or climb on, I would have done whatever I needed to do to walk with this person. However, my foundation was not right. I know you said, what do you mean, Gerald? See, as I've mentioned in my videos in the past, I had issues about myself that spawned from my childhood, my development, and understanding how to be a man. See, my queens, I want you to understand something. I'm going to bring this all into Catalyst in a minute. See, as you know, that it is not easy being a woman, but it's extremely hard to be a man, because society wants or has a perception how men should be. But one of them, or one that is not talked about, is being a spiritually grounded man. What is focused on is being a material, like being a provider, protector, but you never hear the dynamic of a spiritually grounded person. And that is why so many men today, they miss that dynamic. That's why a lot of them are not emotionally open. And you're like, you know what, if it wasn't for that one thing, I would walk with this person. Yeah, because that is not formulated from that child, from that little boy, and he develops. If it's not there, he's going to miss that one dynamic. And what happens is that sets up his life lessons. So, needless to say, I went through my storm 2 years ago, where I actually had to take my life and do like this. Well, I didn't do it. God did. And I had to get real with myself and reintroduce myself not only to my spiritual purpose, but every emotion a human being could feel. Now, and here's the crazy part, because see, the same things that you desire as women are not demanded. And I don't want to use the word demand, because that takes it out of context. But the things that you would want, you don't speak up on. But you long for it now, don't you? So what happens is, people go from here to there, to there, to there, to there, searching for something that you should not search for. It is earned. So, to bring my point, at that time, I had a 2007 Jeep Unlimited. Yeah, the big body Ford. I had one, and that was one of the joys of my life. I enjoyed that vehicle. I never thought in a million years that I would have a Jeep. First of all, because I'm an SUV guy. But in that season, I would go through a loss with that vehicle, and it would cause a financial hardship. And I mean, talk about the straw that broke the camel's back. That was it. Yes. And I went through a period of reflection, and I want to say almost depression. But the one thing that I did that set the tone for where I am now is I humbled myself. And I decided to do the work, because I did not want to make the same mistakes that I had made in my past. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to think that, oh, you just like all the rest. No. I was raised right. But there were things emotionally that I lacked because my environment did not represent it. So, and that's what separates you from them. So, as I embrace my spiritual walk, which is one of the reasons why you're watching me now, I've always been the person that was conscious to see the wrongs in the world. But I always noticed that even though you see people that, you never see people address it. Nobody wants to sit down and chop it up. But we always got an opinion on it behind the scenes. I couldn't do that. I didn't understand that logic. And what I did was, the things that bothered me, the things that caused me to emotionally break down. Yes, you're looking at a man that, hey, I know I done shed like a swimming pool of tears, because there was a lot of expectations and perceptions that I had then that I knew I had to let go of. And because I knew that there are certain things that I deserved, but one of them was my fears. So, to make a long story short, here's a template that lets you know that your higher power loves you and you're not supposed to suffer, but you're required to do the work. So 2 weeks ago, right around, when I did the 2014 shout out, I got an advertisement in the mail, and this auto dealer had one of those dealership keys. Now you guys know those keys cost some money. Especially y'all know, if you lose a key, you're gonna pay about 30, 40, sometimes more for that key. Well, one of my goals this year is to buy my first home. And I've been aggressively getting my finances on through my storm. And so this came in the mail, and I was like, well, this isn't going to serve me, but I'm not going to be a tough person and to throw in the trash like a lot of people do. I took it upon myself to go up to the dealership, right, and give it back. So, of course, the sales guy was like, well, why don't you look at buying a vehicle? I flat out told him, hey, unless my whole intentions is to buy my first home, that's where I'm headed. And I'm not going to waste your time on that. But please understand why I'm here. Now, when you've got a person that has a perception, the one thing I've come to learn is you can't make no one change the way they see things. They have free will, and you have to respect that. That's where like-minded attracts like-minded. He was there to do a job. I understand that, but if he didn't have that job wasn't going to happen through me, not through my means. So to make a long story short, I deliver it, and 2 days later, I get a call from one of the reps that were there. They asked me to come back. So I come back up there, and I meet the owner of the dealership. And he was very humbled on me taking the time to return the property, And he said, well, I understand what you're trying to do, but if you were going to buy it, what would it be? So I threw it out there. I said, well, if I'm going to get another vehicle, if I was going to make that choice, it'd be another Jeep. But see, I already knew in my mind, Gerald is not buying no Jeep. That ain't happening. Gerald's going to be a homeowner. You guys don't see me with videos out there doing my yard. And that's where I'm headed. That's where my steps are planned. But since it was just casual conversation, it had no merit. So I leave. A day later passes by. He calls me back and said, look here. I can get you the vehicle you want at your money, at your price point. So now I'm thinking, well, because they pointed something out that I didn't realize. See, my credit now is pretty nice, but for what I ultimately want to do, which is my home, if I opted to get another vehicle, it would spike it by 100 points. So I thought about that. I said, this is the means to an end result. Plus, you know, it had been a while since I had a new vehicle. Now, the very first vehicle that I've ever purchased, I still have. It's 20 years old. So, yeah, only has 106,000 miles on it, too. It's crazy, ain't it? But I've always been a person that's always had multiple vehicles, you know, so that keeps the mileage down. But making a long story short, we come into an agreement, and I decided, I said, well, you know what, I would like to have another Jeep, but I don't want a new one. If I could find something like 3 years old, hey, that's a payment I won't even know doing. You know, I make enough money that I can afford it. You know, so I went, sat down, even put down a down payment, so that I would say, okay, you convinced me, because I'm thinking, okay, I do this. This is going to help me one step closer to my house. So 8 days go by. There's no contact. Of course, New Year's, the holidays, and I understand that. But then I'm discerning through all this, and I'm like, you know what? Nah, this is an illusion. Now, here's the caveat on this. So, as I'm waiting to hear back from the owner, I'm online, and there are other vehicles out there, and I know that sales reps will, especially when it comes to new vehicles or early used certified vehicles, they'll use the internet to find your vehicle. And actually, you get a better deal online than you do in person, because you can go off the Kelley Blue Book and you can more or less see what the market rate is for your vehicle that you may desire. All right. So, because I was on a site, my email information went to this distro for, I guess, all the dealerships in the Virginia Beach area. Didn't know that. Didn't care. Because once again, Gerald's mindset is Gerald buying his house, and Gerald's going to make sure he puts the vehicle that he desires in his garages. That's more important. Now, let me show you how God works. So, not even thinking about it, a day passes, and this lady calls me on the phone, and she said, well, hey, you know, we see that you had your email information out there. I was just wondering, were you interested on a new vehicle? And I flat out, once again, no, I was just inquiring, you know, but thank you for asking. So she segues it. She said, well, if you were going to buy a vehicle, what would it be? So I give her the specifics and everything. Guess what? Not only did they have the vehicle that I desired, they had it at the price point I wanted. And guess what? It was brand new. But here, I'm going to show you, and see, when I still had the mindset of, you know what, I ain't got nothing going on. I'll go see what she's talking about. It can't hurt to look. Alright, so saw the vehicle. Yeah. I knew right then and there that was a blessing by God. I'm going to tell you how I did. So, when I go to sit down with the rep, he pulls the paperwork out, right? Why is it the paperwork on this vehicle had my date of birth in the VIN number? Yeah. And yes, as you guys know, my number is 8. That contract had 8 with my date of birth throughout the contract. So when I saw that, I knew that was my validation that No. God had given me favor. And because I tried, because my heart was pure, I didn't have an agenda. He felt me worthy. And the things that I had lost in the beginning of my storm was given back. Did you see the caveat on that? I had a 07. I now have a 14. And that's what your higher power will do. When you do the work, when your steps are humble, when you discern, and you invest in yourself, God will give you, He will provide. He will provide the things you need, not the things you want. That is why in my prayers, my family, this is one of the things I always say in my prayer. And you may want to include this as well. I always say, Father, help me to understand the things I do not understand. Help heal the things that are broken. And help reveal the things that are lost. Allow my steps to be guided by you. For you are the way. You do understand that, right? All things are through Him. All things. So the things that where the uncertainty is, don't get caught up in that. And that also goes with your dynamics with other people. See, when you embrace your step, you discern. You gotta have that peace first. What's going to happen is everything that is about you is going to change. It is going to be reaffirmed or it's going to fall apart. See, if someone had told me almost 3 years ago I would be communicating to you, I would have looked at him like, you smoking something. Because there was I was walking in a lack. I had to be humbled. I had to understand not only how precious my life and my purpose is, before I could even see why I need to protect it. Because I was lacking boundaries. So if I didn't have boundaries, how can I have a clear perspective? And this goes for you. When you turn around and make a decision that you're going to be happy this year, you're going to do what is needed. Some of you, your challenge may be this year to heal your finances. That was my challenge. And guess what? I've done so. I had to go through those setbacks to understand that I needed to restructure the way I thought. And once I did that, guess what? God started blessing me. May have been something as small to something that is great. And I also believe that that is for everyone. See, you are an extension of me, and I am an extension of you. And I'm putting this out to you to let you know that better days are ahead. So, if you're tired of the negative elements that are in your life, if you're tired of the naysayers that have an audience in your life, they always got something negative to say but not one thing positive to build you up, start grounding yourself. And guess what? When you ground yourself, they won't stick around. Because what will happen is they'll see nothing but positivity. And like-minded attracts like-minded. So if you've got people that are negative, why are negative people going to... They're not going to spend their time around someone that's doing something with their lives. They won't. Because they have nothing to relate to. I mean, kind of like, you know how they say, you cut the lights on and watch the roaches run. That's the same thing you're doing with your spirit. You're cutting the light on in your heart. And God is saying, my angel, my child, it's time to stop weeping. It's time for you to stop. Get out of your head. It's time for you to come on. Come on. I want to show you something better. I'm going to show you where you need to be. Because where you are right now doesn't feel good, does it? So take my hand. Come on. I got something better for you. I got what you need. And when you decide to trust Him with your life, your discernment will be on fire. You won't take a position of wondering about the things you have no control over. Because we got free will, y'all. We got free will. And at the end of the day, synchronicity. What does God do? It's one of my favorite songs right now. That's what He do. Yes. And guess what? This year will be a year that some of you will regain your smile, because the joy will return in your heart. See, fear has no purpose in your life. It doesn't. So stop claiming it. Stop claiming it. You're doing such an injustice. And you know what? This may be the year for some of you that you may change your name. So I congratulate you. So, but at the end of the day, you gotta love yourself. It's time for you to look at those fears one by one. The fact that you're willing to look at it speaks volumes. And one by one, you master them. Because each time you decide to master something that was lack, that makes more room for the things you deserve. And the next thing you know, guess what? You've been made new from the inside out. I know some of you right now, queens, my queens. Let me tell you something from a spiritual man to you. If you're wondering or have had this cross your mind when the one is going to come to you, start loving yourself. Because guess what? The one, you don't care about this. You don't. I know some of you are so insecure about yourself. Let me tell you something. As long as you are healthy, then you're fine. But if you're going to stay in that lane that some women choose to have, of being insecure and throwing everything on the outer and thinking that's going to attract the one, guess what? You're going to attract the nuns. Yeah. The ones that's not going to give you none. That's not going to give you nothing but pain. See, you got to understand this. Society wants to convince you to remain insecure. You know why? Because if you're grounded, they can't make no money off of you. But if they constantly use that, you constantly do this. Do you find it kind of ironic that now, more than ever, women are starting to embrace their virtue and essence? And guess what are y'all doing? You're taking that off. You finally see that what God gave you was so beautiful. Which it is. God don't make mistakes. That's why you have what you have. Some of you are going to learn to be patient too. Because I'm going to tell you what, it's just like that field. Them seeds you planted long ago, some of you guys are going to see the sprouting of it. Some of you are going to see your harvest. So make sure that whatever you decide to do, it is in your best interest. It's from a place of love. You speak your truth, and you validate it with your courage by discerning. That is the greatest investment you'll ever do. Now see, I didn't ram my mouth too much. But just know this. This is going to be your breakthrough year. And also, this is going to be the year that you're going to silence a lot of naysayers. Because guess what? They will have no choice to see it for what it is. Because they're going to see a person that is coming into their purpose. A person that is strong. A person that is balanced. And guess what? That may serve as an inspiration to them to change. But they have free will to decide which path to go on. I hope you guys have a safe and blessed week. I don't know about y'all, but it's kind of, the weather's been up and down because of this polar vortex is what they want to call it. You know, there ain't nothing but God doing this thing to get our attention. You know, call it for what it is. But we're still required to take care of ourselves, okay? Have faith. All blessings will be answered when you decide to master them. As long as you stay humble, discern, watch what God showed you. Watch. I know He exists. I know He does. And let me put this perspective about this. I'm one that never tripped off of materialism. But I've always been the person that I like nice things, but I work for them. And I know that as long as I stay grounded, God is going to give me every blessing intended when He wishes to release them. So I'm good. I'm good. It's about the transformation itself, right? Okay, guys. I've really ran my mouth too much. I love to hear from you guys, and please be safe out there this week with the weather, especially on these highways and byways. As I always say, God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth because I'm discerning through mine. Okay, guys. Stay blessed. Have a great week. Bye.